You think you know the story of Frankenstein.
The green monster, the lightning, the angry mob. Forget all that. The real story is darker, sadder, and so much more human. It's not about a monster. It's about a lonely child abandoned by his father.
Let's start at the beginning.
Victor Frankenstein wasn't some mad scientist in a Gothic castle. He was a brilliant but obsessive young man from a loving family in Geneva.
While his friends enjoyed life, Victor was consumed by a single dangerous idea: to create life itself.
He wanted to cheat death, to become a god.
His adopted sister, Elizabeth, was his gentle counterpart, and his best friend, Henry Clerval, was full of hope.
But Victor was drawn to secrets humanity was never meant to discover. At university, his obsession spiraled.
He wasn't just studying.
He was desecrating graves, dissecting corpses, and piecing together a new being from the remnants of the dead.
He worked in secret, fueled by a feverish ambition that blinded him to the consequences.
And then, one dreary November night, it happened.
But there was no dramatic lightning storm, no triumphant shout of "it's alive."
There was only a silent, horrifying moment.
He had built his creation to be beautiful, 8 feet tall, perfectly proportioned.
But when its watery yellow eyes opened, and it breathed its first ragged breath, Victor was paralyzed with disgust. The creature tried to smile, reaching out to its creator, its father.
And Victor did the one thing that would seal both of their fates. He ran. He abandoned his creation in its first moments of life, leaving it alone in a world it didn't understand.
The creature, a newborn in an adult's body, stumbled out into the cold. He was a blank slate.
He didn't know who he was or what he was.
He learned about the world through pain.
Fire burned him.
Hunger gnawed at him.
And humans screamed and threw rocks. They taught him his first lesson. He was something to be feared and hated. He found refuge in a small shed attached to a cottage, where he secretly observed a poor but loving family.
For months, this was his entire world.
He watched them through a crack in the wall and learned everything.
He learned language by listening to them speak. He learned about love and kindness by seeing how they cared for each other.
He even learned to read, discovering books left in the woods, books on history, philosophy, and morality.
He wasn't born evil. He was learning to be good, to be human.
He yearned to be a part of their world.
He dreamed of the day they would look past his appearance and see the gentle soul within.
After a year of silent observation, he gathered his courage. He knew the family's father was blind.
This was his chance. He waited until the old man was alone and entered the cottage.
He spoke to him, his voice trembling but articulate.
And the old man listened with kindness, not judging him by his appearance. For a fleeting moment, the creature felt a spark of hope.
But just as he began to tell his story, the others returned.
The son, Felix, saw him and, without a second thought, attacked him with a stick, driving him out with shouts of terror. That was the moment everything changed. The creature fled into the woods, his heart shattered.
He later reflected, "I was benevolent and good.
Misery made me a fiend."
The world had shown him nothing but cruelty, and now cruelty was all he had left. But even then, a sliver of his initial goodness remained. While wandering in the forest, he saw a young girl fall into a fast-flowing river.
Without hesitation, he jumped in and saved her, pulling her to the shore.
But as he tried to revive her, a man appeared. Seeing the creature with the girl, the man assumed the worst.
He raised his gun and shot him. The creature, wounded and betrayed, learned his most painful lesson yet. Even his good deeds would be met with violence. His capacity for love was dying, replaced by a burning hatred for mankind, and most of all, for his creator, Victor Frankenstein.
His rage finally found a target.
In the woods near Geneva, he encountered a young boy. His first thought wasn't to harm him. He hoped a child, innocent and pure, might not be horrified by him.
He tried to speak to the boy, to ask him to be his friend.
But the boy screamed, calling him a monster and a hideous wretch. And then the child revealed his name. He was William Frankenstein, Victor's younger brother. Hearing that name ignited every ounce of the creature's pain and fury. All his suffering, his loneliness, his rejection, he blamed it all on the man who had brought him into this world, only to abandon him.
In a blind rage, he grabbed the child. The murder wasn't premeditated. It was an act of pure, desperate agony. To compound the horror, he took a locket from the boy's body and planted it on a sleeping young woman, Justine, the family's innocent servant.
She was accused of the murder, and despite knowing the truth, Victor stayed silent, too cowardly to admit what he had done. Justine was executed. 2 innocent lives were lost, and Victor's soul was now stained with a guilt he could never wash away.
Trying to escape this crushing guilt, Victor fled to the mountains. But there was no escape.
On a glacier, amidst the stark, imposing landscape, his creation confronted him.
This wasn't a grunting beast.
This was an intelligent, articulate being, consumed by a sorrow as vast as the mountains around them. He didn't demand revenge. He begged for a solution.
He told Victor his entire, heartbreaking story.
"I am malicious because I am miserable," he pleaded.
"Make me a companion, a female as hideous as myself.
"We will go to the vast wilds of South America and hide from humanity forever."
Give me this, and I will leave you and all mankind in peace." Haunted by his responsibility, Victor reluctantly agreed.
He travelled to a remote island in Scotland to begin his grim work.
He assembled the female creature, piece by piece.
But as he was about to bring her to life, a new wave of horror washed over him. What if she was more malevolent than the first? What if she rejected her intended mate? And what if they had children, unleashing a race of demons upon the earth?
He couldn't risk it.
As the first creature watched from the window, filled with hope, Victor looked at the half-finished female form on his table
and tore it to pieces.
The creature let out a howl of despair and rage.
His last chance for happiness was destroyed.
He looked at Victor, his eyes burning with hatred, and delivered a chilling promise. "I shall be with you on your wedding night." And he kept that promise. The creature's revenge was systematic and absolute.
He took away everyone Victor loved. First, he murdered Henry Clerval, Victor's dearest friend, and framed Victor for the crime. After Victor was cleared, he returned home to marry Elizabeth, hoping to find some shred of happiness. But on their wedding night, as Victor patrolled the house with a pistol, the creature slipped into the bedroom and silently strangled Elizabeth. Victor's father, already frail, died of a broken heart upon hearing the news. Victor had lost everything.
His entire world was reduced to ash. Only one thing remained: vengeance. Victor swore an oath to hunt his creation to the ends of the earth, and so began a final, desperate chase. The creature, always one step ahead, led Victor across Europe and into the frozen wastelands of the north. He left clues and taunts, keeping his creator alive just long enough to prolong his suffering. Victor became a ghost, emaciated and half-mad, driven solely by the need to destroy the being he had created.
Finally, on the vast, unforgiving ice of the Arctic, Victor's body gave out.
He was rescued by a ship captained by Robert Walton, and with his last breaths, he told Walton his entire horrific story. It was a warning against unchecked ambition and the failure to take responsibility for one's creations. And then Victor Frankenstein died. But the story doesn't end there.
Days later, Walton heard noises from the cabin where Victor's body lay.
He entered to find the creature standing over his creator, weeping. This is the scene you never see in the movies. There was no celebration, only profound, gut-wrenching remorse. He confessed to Walton that he had become a monster, that he hated himself for the murders he'd committed. He mourned the loss of the goodness that was once inside him.
He was a fallen angel who had longed for love, but received only hate.
His purpose was gone.
His creator was dead. He told Walton he would travel to the northernmost point of the globe and build his own funeral pyre. "My spirit will sleep in peace," he said.
And with a final farewell, the creature leaped from the ship, vanished into the Arctic darkness and mist, and was never seen again.
Frankenstein is not the monster's name.
It's the creator's. The story isn't about a monster running wild.
It's a profound warning.
It teaches us that a being becomes what the world makes of it, and that the greatest sin is not creation, but abandonment. Thanks for watching.